One of the most infamous alien abduction events ever recorded happened in Arizona in 1975. Travis Walton, Mike Rogers and 5 other lumberjacks were driving home through the forest when they saw what they thought was a UFO through the trees.
Well, as I stopped the truck there, the guys were yelling at me to stop the truck. They'd seen something off to the right there clearly after we broke through a group of pine trees there. We looked over to our right, and there, hovering above the ground, 20 feet or so above the ground and about 100 feet from the truck, was a large glowing object. Travis, of course, had jumped out of the truck and had gone up and started walking up right up underneath it.
Well, I was just thinking that this thing was just going to take off and it would be gone before I got up close.
Get out of there! What is that? I don't know what that is.
I was getting, pretty scared myself, and I made up my mind to make a run for it. And when I raised up, wham, something hit me. It's just like a physical blow. It's kind of a tingling, shocking sort of feeling, and I just blacked out.
I jerked my head back around to see what the source of the light was, and here's Travis flying back through the air. He landed some distance from where he'd been standing and landed flat on his back. And the guys in the back seat were yelling at me to get the hell out of there, and I hit the gas, and we were gone down the road.
According to Travis, the next thing he remembers was waking up in what he describes as a large dark room, lying on a cold metal platform, surrounded by alien creatures.
I was definitely not in a hospital.
And can you describe what these aliens look like?
Well, they were basically humanoid, 2 arms, 2 legs, like that, but they had very large heads, no hair, sort of a pale grayish white skin.
He says that he remembered a large surgical instrument being lowered down onto him and used to remove fluid from his eyes. Within days of his disappearance, Travis Walton's story hit the headlines across America. And despite an extensive search in the forest, no one could find any evidence of what happened. The police believe that the group might have murdered Travis and disposed of the body, but Mike and the others all passed polygraph tests and stuck to their UFO story.
And you and the other lads in the truck were convinced that you'd seen a UFO and that it had taken Travis?
We weren't convinced that we had seen a UFO. We were absolutely positive that we'd seen a UFO. It wasn't just a UFO, an unidentified flying object. This was a definite flying object. It was very close, very vivid, and etched in my memory forever.
And then, just as mysteriously as he'd left, Travis woke up on the outskirts of town, just a short distance from where the UFO had been. He was dazed and disorientated.
How long were you actually gone for?
I was missing for 5 days and 6 hours and some odd minutes. Although the night I was returned, I was under the impression it had just been a short while. I thought it was the same night.
Travis and the other 6 men underwent an intensive battery of tests and examinations by experts. As crazy as their story was, no one was able to prove a hoax or a fraud.
Well, I spent a day with Travis and Mike Rogers. He passed the lie detector test. Their story is consistent. There were 5 other people there, after all, who saw part of these events unfold, and who also passed the lie detector test. His story is consistent. It's never changed. I found his story profoundly convincing.
So what did happen to Travis Walton that night in 1975?
Stop, Mike! Stop the truck!
did he and the other loggers see in the forest? Where did Travis disappear to for 5 days?
What do you say to people who say, you know, these seven loggers in the woods just made this whole story up?
I mean, you know, 7 people see the same thing. They stick by their stories for over 2 decades. You know, all of us have taken polygraph tests. Every theory
More than one polygraph test.
Every theory the skeptics come up with is just, you know, just absurd and easily proven so.
There was another interesting fact that wasn't reported at the time. A radiation test was done on the clothes and hats that the group were wearing on the night. The Geiger counter gave an abnormally high reading, a 6 on a scale of 10. If this was all a hoax or some sort of mass delusion, where did this high level of radiation come from?
I'm absolutely convinced that Travis Walton was indeed abducted. Their stories are consistent. I've listened to the objections of the noisy negativists about this story, and as is almost always the case, they don't stand up once you check on them, don't accept them blindly. I'm convinced he's telling the truth, along with Mike, because of all this peripheral stuff, polygraphs, etc.
The debate about whether alien abductions are real has raged for decades. For abductees, the experiences are vivid and frightening events, many with physical interaction with aliens and spacecraft. But the skeptics say that what they are really experiencing is a form of severe sleep disorder.
The more I hear about abduction stories, particularly the ones that happen in bed at night when people are asleep, the more I can see the similarities between that and what's called sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is surprisingly common, something like 30% of people have it. When you're dreaming, you have to be paralyzed. But normally that wears off long before you ever wake up, so you don't know anything about it. But sometimes the mechanism goes wrong so that you wake up and you're still paralyzed. This paralysis is very often associated with buzzing and humming noises, feelings of floating or flying or being dragged away, creepy crawly skin sensations as though something's running up and down your skin, and overwhelming all of that, a sense of presence, the feeling that there's somebody there in the room with you. And when it wears off, you just, oh phew. If you don't know what it is, it can be pretty frightening. Now, you can see the many similarities between that and alien abductions. I think a lot of alien abduction accounts are in fact elaborations of sleep paralysis.
But we know for a fact that not all of these abductees are sleeping, and they're having these experiences. Yes, there is sleep paralysis, and yes, if they're asleep, maybe part of that could be sleep paralysis. But when a person's sitting up in bed reading and a bright light floods their room and they become paralyzed and can't move and they feel something is in their room, how do you explain that? How do you explain people driving on the highway? They're not asleep and they're not always by themselves. So they're not making this up because they have witnesses.
This is inherently unbelievable. This is the fringe of the fringe. People are telling us that they're being abducted by aliens from another planet. This is prima facie evidence of mental instability and has been for many, many years. For the first 30 years, 20 years of this phenomenon, all we did was search for psychological and psychiatric reasons for why this could be happening. We've got to find the reasons for it because it's obviously psychological. It can't be happening the way people are describing it. Well, it's not psychological and it's not psychiatric, and it is happening, I think, by and large, the way people are describing it. And I think that what we're looking at here is a physiological program of exploration.